Okay. When she close the door, and then when she close the door, we start.
你是我的主，引我走正义路，高山或低谷，都是你在保护。万人中唯独你爱我，认识我，永远不变的应许，这一生都是祝福。一步又一步，这是恩典之路，你爱你手将我紧紧抓住，一步又一步，这是盼望之路，你爱你手牵引我走这人生路。你是我的主，引我走正义路，高山或低谷，都是你在保护。万人中唯独你爱我，认识我，永远不变的应许，这一生都是祝福。一步又一步，这是恩典之路，你爱你手将我紧紧抓住，一步又一步，这是盼望之路，你爱你手牵引我走这人生路啊，一步又一步，这是恩典之路，你爱你手将我紧紧抓住，一步又一步，这是盼望之路，你爱你手牵引我走这人生路。
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. I've always wanted to say that. So on behalf of my sister and I, we are so thrilled and honored that you all are sharing this day with us. Planning this has been something that's been 50 years in the making. And my parents are just really honored that you all are here today. And I think part of getting to know Allan and Betty better is to hear the backstory. So at this point, I'd like to invite my sister, Iva, to come up. And those of you that know Iva know that she is a behind-the-scenes person, and the last thing she would ever want to do is to talk in front of people. So she's going to read something about my father, Allan.
Okay, we are here today to celebrate the love story of Allan and Betty. I have the pleasure of telling you a little bit about Allan, who we all know and love for his quiet humility and overflowing generosity. He doesn't often talk about himself, but this is a man of incredible strength and loyalty, who we are so fortunate to know and have among us. I am lucky enough to call him my father. Allan was born in 1940 in Toisan, China. From 1958 to 59, he was classmates with Betty Tam, who was in 8th grade, a few years younger than him. My father was not the best student, but he made sure to come to class every day. My parents didn't really speak to each other in school, but he remembered Betty as a pretty, energetic young lady that caught his eye. My father believed that the future for him was in the West, and in 1959, at the young age of 19, his parents arranged for papers for him to go to Canada and sent him with $80 in his pocket. It was a huge step for him, but Allan's drive for success pushed him forward. After moving to Canada, he got papers to the US and moved to New York. In New York, Allan worked in his uncle's laundry business. The job was tough, and it required him hard manual labor and long hours. One of his jobs was to deal with the rough street characters in the super competitive commercial laundry business. Allan had the perfect combination of street smarts, physical strength, work ethic, and toughness that allowed him to succeed and gain the respect of those around him. Even then, my father had the drive that made him the hardest working guy in the room. Dad, he was busy. He had to pay down his $4,000 in debt. In order to accomplish this, he worked full-time during the week in the laundry business. He studied English at night, and on weekends worked as a waiter in a Chinese restaurant in Long Island. His incredible work ethic was clear to all those around him. Dad, like now, worked and worked. He lived simply. He sent money home to his family in Hong Kong. He was striving for a better life and future, and had someone he wanted to share that future with. Through those long days and nights, he never forgot about Betty. With the little money he had, extra money he had, he sent his first letter to Betty. And in the envelope, he sent some money so Betty could take her friends and his friends out for dim sum. Allan's love language was and is still to this day food. And how many of us in this room have been fed by Allan? His abundant generosity, along with his flat top haircut, are his trademarks. So back to 1959. After Betty received the letter and enjoyed the dim sum, she sent Allan a thank you note. And this began a beautiful 10-year letter writing courtship between Allan and Betty. And they sent letters to each other every month. Betty's kind words sustained Allan during those rough days and long nights. She encouraged Allan to find a church home in America, and the two remained friends. Allan's faith in God, combined with his natural optimism for a better future in America, kept him going through those early years. Allan did find a church home, and to this day, Allan still makes going to church, this church, a priority. He fellowships regularly with the Caleb and Brotherhood groups. So during this decade, Allan, he did want to go back to Hong Kong to visit Betty, but due to his student status, he could not leave America. Working to pay off his debt, he had little money and realized he could never return to Hong Kong. But in 1969, 10 years later, Allan left Hong Kong. His parents immigrated to New York. And once that happened, Allan's status changed, and he could finally return home to ask Betty to marry him. So little did Allan know that 50 years later, he would become a living example of the American dream. His passion and drive for business achievement is well known in South Florida with the legendary Canton and Sushi Maki. There is no exaggeration. Allan still works 7 days a week, at least 10 hours a day, and never takes a day off unless he is forced to. And then in the last 25 years, he has been able to work and teach his 2 children, Abe and myself, how to be good, honest business people. And now he's working with the next generation, teaching his grandchildren the same timeless principles. His grandchildren bring him incredible joy, and he is a loving grandfather to Kyle, Lindsay, and Jacqueline. Yeah, cooks for them. He cooks Canton classics like the Canton steak and special foods prepared for his family that include beef bone soup for Christina when she was pregnant, vegetables for his son-in-law, Steve, and other special medicinal soups that he gives Kyle, Lindsay, and Jacqueline the competitive edge in debate, volleyball, and dance. His grandchildren won the lottery in having Allan as their grandfather. There you have it. That's my father's side of the story.
And now the story gets better. Like many of you in this room, I grew up in a household where parents didn't tell us too much of their backstory. But in hosting this party, it's given us a much better insight of who our parents are. Betty Tam was born in Hong Kong. She was schoolmates with Allan for a short time from 1958 to 1959. Betty's only memory of Allan was him sitting in the back of the class looking at her. Betty didn't even know he left Hong Kong until he sent a letter and money back to treat her friends, their friends, for dim sum. She sent him a thank you note and remembers him as a generous spirit. After Allan left for Canada and New York for 10 years, Betty studied and worked full-time as a chief accountant for an American company. The only contact she ever had with Allan was the letter correspondence. Betty attributes this connection solely to God and his great work in her life. In 1969, Betty received a phone call. It was Allan, overjoyed. He told her that his status has changed and he could return home to Hong Kong. "I want to come to Hong Kong and marry you," he said. Betty could not believe it. But Betty said no. He couldn't come to Hong Kong to marry her. Her social life simply wouldn't accept it, but she still wanted to take the chance. So instead, she decided to go to New York to marry him. She had no idea what was awaiting her. An important side story is, one of my mom's best friends, and later her best friend, Jean Getzoff, was already living in New York at the time with her husband David and her children, Alyssa and Adrian. Unfortunately, Jean and David are not with us today, but representing them beautifully are their children and grandchildren. True story. If it wasn't for Jean and David looking after Allan while in New York City, there's a good chance that we aren't partying here tonight in Miami. Jean also believed in Allan and Betty and was one of the original investors in my parents' most important business venture of their career, Canton Dadeland. Back to the Allan and Betty story. Betty, by herself, with no blessings or support from her family and friends, got on a plane and arrived in New York City in September 1969. She was bewildered and confused. The only thing she knew for certain was that there was a man that loved her and that God would be forever by her side. Allan and Betty were married on November 2nd, 1969, 50 years to this day. My mom didn't plan her own wedding. It was done mostly by Allan and his family. Oops. This is something that my mom still jokes about today, which is what makes it so incredible. My mom, along with my sister and my wife Christina, planned her own wedding 50 years later, down to every detail. Another fun fact about today is that my sister Iva and Steve decided to get married in 1996 on November 2nd as well. It's pretty cool. So happy anniversary to Iva and Steve today as well. Finishing up this story is their honeymoon and their very own Miami story, which takes us to the family that we are with today. For Allan and Betty's honeymoon, they visited Miami Beach, where they reunited with Pastor Kongwal Lau and his wife Irene. After returning to New York 2 years later, they moved to Miami, the city that they fell in love with. My mom is vivacious, generous, and adventurous. I mean, how crazy and brave was she to leave a social and comfortable life in Hong Kong for what I think became a pretty cool adventure here in the US and in Miami. God is in control and his plan is perfect. My mom has been incredible to her kids, me and Iva. As we grew up, she poured all her energy into us. She is proud and loves her daughter-in-law and son-in-law deeply, and of course, her amazing grandkids. And the thing about my mom, her love is not just for the family. Mom is the leader of the extended family that can get cousins to come from California and Canada for this party. Betty loves you all so much in this room. This whole day was designed around you, her church family, seriously. My sister and I considered different venue options for this 50th anniversary party. Betty absolutely insisted that we have it at the church, the service, the banquet, everything. She envisioned church members serving through music, ushering, moving furniture, audiovisual, Nina's special hospitality touches. My sister and I laugh at how detailed Mom was in planning this day. A last bit of insight with my family. My family, we meet once a week for a family business meeting. My mom doesn't pay too much attention to the business side of our discussions, but she is full of life whenever we discuss church business or church politics. Many in this room have worked with Betty on church and ministry endeavors. It would be an understatement to say that Betty passionately loves her church home. In closing, my parents' interaction with each other is like a sitcom. Many of you have seen it. Through the decades of love, they make us laugh. They occasionally drive us crazy. But no question, their love is an amazing example to us all. My parents' prayer is that we have a fantastic time today, we eat well, and we celebrate God's blessing of the amazing accomplishment of a 50th wedding anniversary. Thank you all for coming. So up next, we have a video. If I get this right. Yes, up next we have a video that we're going to show that we did for their 40th anniversary. So from years 40 to 50, you'll see pictures in the slide room during the dinner hour. But now we'd like to show you something we put together as a family 10 years ago. And many of you were at this party 10 years ago. And I also want to especially acknowledge that my father-in-law, Eugene and Auntie Diane, came all the way from California then and is here again today. And please come by and visit my father-in-law. If you guys think that Christina is terrific, you'll see why, meeting her dad.
Allan and Betty's love story begins in the 1950s in Hong Kong.
They attended the same class in junior high, where Betty sat in front of Allan.
She was smart, pretty, and vivacious.
In the middle of the year, Allan, at the age of 19, set out for the United States,
With only $80 in his pocket.
leaving all behind except the memory of Betty.
It was the last time she would see him face to face for 10 years.
Yet Allan sent Betty letters courting her from halfway across the world. In 1969, Allan's immigration papers were approved, and he sent for Betty to join him in the U.S.
By this time, Betty was a young professional, a working woman, active in church and with a large family. Her family and friends were shocked that she was leaving to marry a man she had not seen in 10 years. But against their advice, Betty decided to go.
She landed in New York City on September 27, 1969.
They were soon engaged.
On November 2nd, Allan and Betty were married in New York City at the First Chinese Presbyterian Church. 1 week later, they left for their honeymoon in Miami, Florida. They enjoyed the beach and all the tourist sites, even staying at the Fontainebleau. Yet, it was a chance visit to a tiny Chinese church at the Flagler Street Baptist that was the most memorable part.
Unbeknownst to them, the pastor at this budding church was Kwong Wah Lau. Pastor Lau and his wife Irene had been teachers of Betty at her church in Hong Kong. What an unexpected and welcome sight this was for Betty, in a new country and homesick for familiar faces.
Pastor and Mrs. Lau struck up a friendship with Allan and Betty. visiting them several times during their honeymoon. The happy couple returned to New York City and moved into an apartment in Yonkers. Between the weather, Allan's long hours, and the violent riots of the time, it was not easy.
Yet, in the midst of this hardship, Allan and Betty received the wonderful news that they were expecting their first child.
On October 30th, 1970, they welcomed a beautiful baby girl, Iva.
They had begun their family, and they loved this child dearly.
Deciding that it was time for his new family to make it on their own, Allan moved them down to Miami in November 1972. With the little they had, they invested in a small Chinese takeout, commuting well over an hour each way.
During this stressful period, Betty became pregnant, and Abe was born on September 20th, 1973, with a smile on his face. The family began setting roots in their church home with Pastor and Mrs. Lau and other immigrant Chinese families.
In the years that followed, Allan and Betty continued to open up Canton restaurants, making a name for themselves in the South Florida community.
Iva and Abe graduated from high school, went on to college, and got married themselves.
In that city that doesn't sleep.
Allan and Betty are now grandparents to 3 wonderful kids, Kyle, Lindsay, and Jacqueline.
Looking back, Allan is thankful for a wonderful wife who gave all of herself to raise her children and be supportive of him in building the business. She was very dedicated and gave her 100% to her children. Betty gives that love to her grandchildren too. Allan recognizes that there's a lot of sacrifice to make a man successful, and he knows that Betty made those sacrifices for him. Allan still calls Betty his first sweetheart, his first love. Betty is thankful for a good, honest, and faithful man who loves her completely still.
From a letter given Allan and Betty at their wedding, Psalm 103:17. But from everlasting to everlasting, the Lord's love is with those who fear him, and his righteousness with their children's children.
Happy 40th anniversary, Mom and Dad.
New York, New
And now I'd like to ask Pastor Chan to come up. Dear friends of my parents, originally from Hong Kong and now in California.
Thank you. My name is Pastor Chan, Peter Chan. I'm the only relative or friend from the bride side today. All in the groom side. Today, this is a marvelous day, and this is a glorious day to celebrate the golden anniversary of my dearest Betty and Allan Ng. Today I am going to tell you a secret. The secret how to keep a happy marriage for 50 years. But I only share the message in Cantonese. If you want to know the secret, ask your relative, ask your friend who know Cantonese, or ask your mom or daddy. 點樣可以50年不變呢？香港咧就50年不變，但係呢20幾年就變啦。哇！而家冇人敢翻香港，我下個禮拜就翻香港。哇！我好驚，50年不變呢？一個婚姻有50年，真係好難。所以有啲我今年都係50年喎。請師母起身啦！啲人問我做嘛？我話好難捱啊！50年不變冇可能，50年隨時變。嗱，好簡單啊！一個美麗嘅新娘，當佢有咗細蚊仔之後，佢唔係一個美麗嘅情人，佢係個美麗嘅媽咪。佢將成副心機咧就放喺個女啊，放喺個仔嘅身上。個爸爸翻嚟，快啲同我睇下啲奶得未啊？煲緊奶。以前係結婚嘅時候情人，但係有咗仔女之後，你點知咧？因為佢改咗名啦。以前叫做 Dear Betty， 而家叫做阿媽咪，叫媽咪喎。個丈夫咧，快啲問下爹哋咧。佢話唔係問阿 Allan 嘅喎，問阿爹哋喎。我哋改咗名啦。嗱，呢個變啦。所以好多人咧，佢哋結婚之後20年咧，佢哋就變咗啦。點解咧？嗰個媽咪嗰個 role 嗰個職份咧變咗，因為從一個情人變成一個媽咪。但係20年之後咧，啲仔女走啦，出去讀書啦，就 empty nest， 嗰個竇咧冇晒人。我記得我個仔同埋我個女，我個仔去耶魯同埋個女去Stanford 去讀書走晒嘅時候咧，我哋兩個大家攬住個膊頭望住個房間，以前嗰啲玩具啊打爛晒啲嘢都冚唪唥 empty nest。咁之後咧，我哋就彼此，我望下我太太，我太太望下我，好似好 strange， 好陌生咁喎。舊時就話：爹哋啊，你打佢。而家咧，我都唔識得佢爹哋。嗱，變啦。之後咧，大家都做出去做生意，翻嚟冇咩嘢傾，掛住執去屋企， 大家好似乜嘢講晒，愛情冇晒咁滯啊！好容易嗌交，哇！呢特別有啲開餐館嗰啲咧，如果有人有朋友咧啊結婚咧，你叫佢唔好開餐館。開餐館咧，特別係晏晝食餐嘅時候咧，哇！嗰個丈夫咧又喺廚房，個太太出邊度招待，哇！快啲啦，快啲啊！哇！你寫個單寫得好錯啊！大家好似唔記得咗喺嗰個牧師喺嗰個禮拜堂嘅時候嗰啲咁親愛嘅講啲説話，阿 D 啊，阿 Honey 啊，兩公婆真係好難 keep 啊！所以有啲人就話你點樣可以保持你嘅愛情？有啲人話好緊要啊，唔緊要啊！我哋學一啲咒語啊，一見親面 ，Hello，Thank you，阿 Dear，阿 Honey， 淨係叫啲咒語唔得嘅。有啲人話唔緊要，我哋咧，如果你擠牙膏咧係擠咧，咁你就跟住個太太擠牙膏，唔好學點樣講都唔可以。有啲牧師就教你，你點樣可以兩公婆結婚唔嗌交咧？唔會走去揾律師咧？有個辦法 ，Don't go to mad at the same time， 唔好好似啲盲頭烏蠅咁啊一齊甩咗個頭。咁啲係咪一個秘訣咧？唔係啊，忍得你今日，我唔忍得你聽日。啊，你發脾氣啊，我都唔識會發脾氣啊。嗱，有乜嘢秘訣可以兩公婆捱落去50年，仲係你望實我笑下 Honey， 我望實你笑下 Honey， 大家去游下水，大家去拍下拖，大家月下漫步，哦，好羅文蒂啊！有乜嘢秘訣咧？有一個秘訣。嗱，今日咧 ，this day， 我哋呢對新人咧，新人啊嚇，佢 renew 佢嘅 vow， 佢喺神嘅面前咧，再一次係再講個誓約。啲牧師問 Allan， 你愛唔愛 Betty 啊？愛。Betty， 你愛唔愛 Allan 啊？愛。你乜嘢嘅時候都愛啊嘛？係。佢撚雞鬥皮都愛啊嘛？係。佢好窮都愛啊嘛？係。哇！我都作一個誓願啦，誠實。今日50年之後，佢再一次喺咁多親友面前，點解行禮咧？佢就想用佢嘅行動去 make a new vow。我再愛多你50年，係咪啊？再愛多你50年，你點樣可以 keep 住兩公婆50年不變呢？就係你睇重你嘅 vow， 睇重你嘅誓詞。你係唔係喺人嘅面前做呢個約嘅？你勾手指尾唔係喺人面前，那係喺上帝嘅面前。如果你勾咗手指尾，又叫上帝做證人，表示你愛佢，無論你係窮、係生病、係乜嘢，你都愛佢。上帝做證人。如果你敬畏上帝，你會守你個約，唔單止守約，仲要愛佢。嗱，守約咧係凍冰冰嘅。我唔離婚啦，算啦。啊，你唔翻嚟，我唔睬你，你唔睬我。呢個係守約。No， 唔單止係守約，仲且係愛。因為你喺神嘅面前係應承愛佢嘛。我愛你，愛到咧你病又好，窮又好，乜嘢我都愛你。你守呢個約，你守約嘅時候，我哋嘅上帝得榮耀啊！聖經講，因為神是愛，我們愛，因為神先愛我們。如果 我哋有守約，有敬畏我哋嘅神，因為我覺得呢個丈夫係神俾我嘅，呢個妻子係神俾我嘅，我守呢個約。無論佢點發脾氣都好，我守我個約；無論點窮都好，我守我個約；無論啲律師打電話嚟都好，我守我個約，因為呢個可以榮耀神。Now I tell you the secret how to keep your happy marriage for 50 years. You just want to fear God, to keep your vow, and then let God be glorified. Thank you.
How can I say thanks for the things you have done for me? Things so undeserved, yet you give to prove your love for me. The voices of a million angels could not express my gratitude. All that I am and ever hope to be, I owe it all to thee. To God be the glory, to God be the glory, to God be the glory for the things he has done. With his blood he has saved me. With his power he has raised me. To God be the glory for the things he has done. Just let me live my life. Let it be pleasing, Lord, to thee. And should I gain any praise, let it go to Calvary. With his blood he has saved me. With his power he has raised me. To God be the glory for the things he has done.
We have all heard sorts of amazing things about my incredible grandparents and their love story that was truly blessed by God. It is incredible to think that we are standing here today as a direct result of their love, faithfulness, and perseverance. Their story is so special and rare. We literally would not be standing here today if it wasn't for them. We grandkids are the luckiest of all. We all have had fun sleepovers with Grandma, homemade breakfast by Grandpa, woken up Christmas morning with our stockings overflowing, and watched lion dances. Thank you for making memories with us. But one of the most strong and long-lasting impressions they have made on us is their example of faith and service. They love God and show it in their way they spend their time, talent, and treasure. They are always putting others and God first. Mama and Yeye, please come up. Thank you, Mama and Yeye, for loving us so well and sacrificing so much so we could have this life here. So here's the moment we've all been waiting for. Yeye, you may now kiss Mama.
So, if we, before we go to the reception hall, if we can all stand up and we're gonna take a photo with you guys standing. You don't need to move, just stand up.